Welcome to the Heen View, a podcast series which interviews a range of sport club representatives and leading professional sport club personnel during the COVID-19 period. We find out what these people are doing during the current health crisis period, with some of our most popular sports seasons on hold, being played, and also postponed. I'm Mark Heen, and today I'm actually going to speak to a special guest. He's probably one of the youngest guests that we've had on this program, and it's also a little bit about not just his sport, but a little bit about his background, but also coping with an injury during COVID. And this person's going through that at the moment, and obviously changing clubs during COVID, but more at the forefront, his work's been impacted, but also his, sport, because they're off season at the moment, he's obviously going through that period. And I want to welcome a special guest today from the Marshall Cricket Club. And I've got to know this gentleman not just through the Marshall Cricket Club, but someone that I've been involved in my local community in the Ballerine. And he's undergone a shoulder operation during COVID-19, and it's going to be a great delight to see him back on the cricket field. His name is Tom Toolbox Beasley, but I'll call him Tom for tonight. Tom Beasley, welcome to the Heen View on episode 56. The great man, you have appeared.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me. I thought I would have been on a little bit earlier, but that's all right.
Well,
we're here now.
Can I just mention some of the people that you've been up against? You're definitely the youngest cricket guest on this program. I've had people like Darren Barmby. I've also had Shane Cuttajar, and also don't forget the business edition out there for the Heen View. We talk to businesses during this period as well. But I've also had Nick Hallam, coaches. I've also had Jackie Johnston, premiership winning captain of the women's at Ocean Grove. So you're in elite company, Tom Beasley.
Yeah, well, fun fact, Jackie actually looked after me when I did my right shoulder about 6 years ago. So she referred me to the surgeon and whatnot. So that's a funny one, actually. I didn't tell you that.
There's a bit of a twist there. That's right.
Yeah.
But then you're also up against people like Michael Barlow and Gary Hocking and Liz Alice. I mean, there's been some stars on this program.
Yeah, it's the top echelon, mate. I'm just I'm the pig feeder there.
And your mate Harry Walker as well, who's moved to New South Wales. But I want to talk to you today a bit about what you've gone through during COVID, and more specifically, not coming into Marshall at the moment, more about where you land in terms of your injury. Now, we'll get on to how you did it just recently, but as you can see, Tom's left shoulder, if you're watching this out here, this is an audio podcast, but also a visual podcast, is that Tom, his left shoulder, he's got it in a sling. Now, do you want to just tell me what's happened since post-cricket season, finished in March, what you've had to go through, and also you've also had, you haven't worked because of it. So just talk us about that.
So post-cricket, the shoulder was still playing up and stuff like that. So I was seeing a specialist anyway, and we were umming and ahhing on whether I'd get the operation or not. But yeah, post-cricket, it was still pretty sore and falling in and out, jiggling around and stuff like that. Even down at the pub playing a game of pool. Once it kind of just slipped a touch. So I thought, oh yeah, that's probably not great. So yeah, got it fixed up 3 weeks ago on Tuesday. So yeah, haven't done a lot since then. Been down to the footy once or twice, but yeah, since then the operation and stuff like that, it's been pretty gloomy, mate.
It has, but you also told me about your and we can mention them now, is your bowling statistics. We actually know that you have been recruited to Marshall. Well, it was obviously a year ago, but this injury didn't actually happen due to your bowling. You're actually in the nets and you were batting, and that's where the shoulder, you had a bit of an issue with your shoulder. But also, I think even during the season, or was it prior to the season, there was a bit of work involved as well, or is it what? Just take us through what happened there with batting, and then also around the time of the season.
Yeah, no, it happened game day. So we were playing St. Peter's. I was going all right with the stick, mind you, and it was last over, and I thought, I could try and get another 20 off it here, and yeah, just went to lay into one, and top of the swing came out, and the shoulder just kind of gave way and pushed out the bottom and through the front of my shirt almost. And then with one hand, I managed to hit the ball straight to point, got caught. I don't know what everyone else in the middle of the ground was thinking, but I wasn't thinking about the wicket. I was like, where's my shoulder? Because I was like, oh, clearly not right. Could feel it and stuff like that. I was in some pretty almost scream-worthy pain where I was trying to hold it in, and then got back to the room and kind of missed the seat as I went to sit down. It was a little bit lower than I anticipated. And I actually, when I jolted, it sucked it back up into the socket. So yeah, that felt really nice actually. It wasn't pretty, but it felt a lot better once that happened. And then yeah, didn't get to bowl that game, obviously, which I was more annoyed about because I'm not there for my batting. So I was trying to get it back out there, but yeah, put the ice back on it, and that was me done until round 2 after Christmas, I think, possibly.
You obviously had
it was
there was
good.
a 2020 grand final on the 26th of Jan, but also there was a gap of you not playing from round 5 to round 9. So from the 26th of November to the 16th of January. So during that period, you had to get some work done to your shoulder.
That was just physio stuff, just strengthening it, getting it back so I could participate in the rest of the season, because we were on a pretty good streak then, and we probably knew by then we were going to play finals and give it a shake. So I really wanted to get back to that. So it was just more physio work and stuff like that, a bit of strength stuff, and it was pretty good. Didn't pop out again badly. Had a couple little incidents where it felt a little bit yuck and unstable and stuff like that. So that's when I went to the specialist and was like, no, we've probably got to do something about this. So
yeah, this is what I want to ask you about, because essentially this program is about, what people have been doing during COVID. And did you find when you had to go and see specialists because of, appointments and all that? And we mentioned a previous person that was on this program in Jackie Johnson. I mean, she was talking about things like telehealth. She had to sort of go away from her career as being in sports medicine and just focus on the health and well-being of others, how they see their patients. I mean, with yourself, just talk us through that period in seeing doctors and surgeons around COVID. And did you find that the waiting times had increased? And with some of these people in the medical world, not so much reluctant to see you, but there was a bit of a reluctance and not wanting to see the patients because of the COVID?
The wait times were definitely, I hadn't experienced wait times like I had before that. When I first did the x-ray, see if there was like any bone structural stuff wrong with it, that was like 8 or 9 days or something from when I called till I could actually get an appointment. So that was I'm guessing like probably more spaced out appointments and stuff like that, possibly, or probably not seeing as many patients. I'm not sure, but that was a long time. And then even to go see the specialist at times, like I'd make an appointment and I wouldn't be able to get back in for 6-7 weeks, or I'd call and be like, oh, we can get you in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. I know specialists are usually pretty packed out because they've got their surgery days and post-op days and stuff like that. But yeah, that was another pretty decent wait. And the MRI as well was another massive wait. And even places weren't doing MRIs where they usually do, just to kind of condense it a bit. So it's just more one spot. They didn't have 10 people going off for MRIs at different spots and stuff like that. So yeah.
Just come back to those dates. So obviously you didn't play between the 26th of November and the 16th of January. Do you think in some ways, because of COVID and in some ways with the influx of, I suppose, demand on, the public health system and getting your situation sorted a little bit, and it was probably a little bit of a, I suppose, something that happened like, it was a little bit of a setback during the course of that season. Then now you've been able to get it fully fixed up. But do you think you could have come back sooner if it wasn't sort of around COVID, if it was a normal season?
Like the cricket season's kind of matched up with previous seasons, regardless. Like I know we've played more one-day cricket and stuff like that. I still probably would have waited anyway. Oh, it depends. Our ladder position had a big thing to do with why I got it done now and not when it happened. If it had happened at the start of the year, I would have got it done and probably would have been able to get back finals type, the last couple of games of the year, because of that 8-week break in the guts, like through the
middle part
through Christmas, kinda. Yeah. Or not 8 weeks, but that's the break I had. Yeah, if it had happened round 1, I probably would have been able to get it done and then come back for the back end of the year. But it happened in round 5, I think, or round 6. And then it was kind of like, we've won 4, we've got so-and-so next, we reckon we could beat these guys. So I was like, I should get it done, but I'll just wait. And I couldn't have done a better job, really. I butchered it. Like I did a pretty decent job of the socket. So yeah.
It sounds like you were an axeman, or you just like when you just teed off in the nets, it was like a big golf swing and it just went crack.
I put the absolute kitchen sink into it. It would have landed over Barnheads Road if I had gotten onto it.
Well, you need to talk to your president about Barnheads Road, because he wants to duplicate, and I think everyone in their right mind, and even the governments out there, should duplicate that road, because it is a bottleneck.
Yes, and it's very hard to get out of the Marshall Cricket Club some night.
Well, it is, because you've also got the competing South Bar that backs onto Marshall, so there's quite a lot of cars in that
Yeah,
short
and that
space, and then
busy stretch on that road.
yeah, you got some puddles and that sort of thing as well.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things to sort of overcome. But incidentally, it was April 20 last year, or around that period, that you were announced as a new addition. Now, you're a premiership player at Ocean Grove, but you also played at Paran, and Andre Schultz and Paul Jubber were keys to that. Giving you the opportunity to further sort of come back and progress your cricket and go into Premier.
Yeah.
But the opportunity to come back, Corey Walder, who was probably a sparring partner and I believe is a family relation of yours, he's a coach at Marshall. But the opportunity to come back and play locally in the region and to test yourself in the GCA. We were pretty thrilled at the time about that appointment, coming back to Marshall.
Yeah, it was different. I hadn't, like, when I went to Pran, that was a great year of cricket, like a massive commitment, a long drive from Wallington to Toorak Park. And if it wasn't for COVID, I probably would have been there this year again. I probably wouldn't have been at Marshall. And I said that to Corey a couple of times. It was such a period of time where no one knew what was happening. No one knew what was going to happen. You couldn't predict that we were going to be in a lockdown for 3 months. And then, Melbourne was stuck for God knows how long. So coming back home and to Marshall and stuff like that was because of what we were going through, the pandemic. It was one of the best years of cricket I had, and feel like I've been there a whole lot longer than just 12 months. So that says more about the club than it does about me. But yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed the season there, and I'll be back there for who knows how long.
Well, that's the great thing. And, they've done a lot of work, and, I've had an experience playing at Marshall over 10 years ago, and it's a really sort of, it's got a blue collar club, and a lot of the groundwork, they might have not always had access to federal funding or state funding, although during the last sort of election, there was a few promises made. But essentially, a lot of work has been done through people that play there, are involved there with their families, and, people that work in trades. I'm not sure whether you've been offered to do any landscaping work as well, but I know a lot of the labour and a lot of the, I suppose, work around the club is come through just, through voluntary and community service.
Yeah. And it's one thing that I noticed when I was there. Everyone helps everyone. And that happens at a lot of cricket clubs. But yeah, everyone jumps on the back of everyone, and they're all great. Like, from the committee down, it's a real family orientated volunteer club, obviously, but that's a lot of clubs, and people are always going to say that about their own club, but it really shone through to me just how much those people actually do love the place, and it makes you fall in love with the place. It's infectious.
There you go. You've got it. Well, one of the things about you, and I don't know if you look back on your career at the moment, because you're still, I believe, under the age of 25, you were a key person and a key pillar in that grand final for Ocean Grove going back a few years ago now, and you took 6 wickets in that grand final, and you're on fire, and in fact, you took 12 wickets, I believe, throughout that final series. And I don't know what sparks you. Is it that raw emotion? Because I just sort of get the feeling that, having watched you from afar, you were sort of making that sort of steady rise, and then all of a sudden, when people were watching you, and you were, I think, when in your early days at Ocean Grove, you were more as a batter, and then you changed to the spin. So just talk us about the change. Say, hey, I'm going to be a spinner, but also the personality in you that brings out the best of you in cricket, and your experiences in that grand final.
Oh, the change to bowling kind of happened. Hugh and Bettino, Wombat, moved down from the Deakin Cricket Club in Melbourne somewhere, and I lost my spot as a wicketkeeper in the ones, and I was like, I wasn't the strongest bat. And that proved to be right after round 3. I think I'd made 2, 0 and 0. So I got dropped and went down to the 2s and went pretty well there. Got back up, but just didn't really do a hell of a lot. And then ended up winning the 2s flag that year, had a decent back end, and thought, oh, it could be my year with the bat. And then I was always bowling off spin and stuff in the nets, and, taking the mickey and stuff like that, and always my jovial self. And there was a few blokes who were like, oh, no, come on, like, you can bowl, like, get serious about it. And I bowled in the final series for the 2s and took like 8 or so wickets again, and bowled all right, pretty economically. And then the year after, that next year, that's when Anton Schultz kind of moved down to Grove and was like, oh yeah, you can like, you bowl, why, like, where do you play? And I was like, man, I know I'm a wicketkeeper. I don't actually hardly bowl in a game ever. And he goes, nah, don't twist my arm like that, Sherbet. Come on. And I was like, nah, seriously, I've never played an A grade game as a bowler. And he go, right, round one, you're in our side as a bowler. I think I bowled like 8 overs and went for 30, didn't take a wicket. That was against Anglesey, and I was like, oh, I can do this. And then, just flowed on from there. Round 3, had 8 against Drysey, 8 for 80 off 24 overs or something like that. I got tapped a bit, but still took 8. So I hadn't taken a 5 for before then. I ended up taking 8. So that was pretty nuts. And then from there, it was just like a whirlwind. It was nuts. But yeah, and so that's how the bowling thing all started. So I'm still pretty fresh. I only had 3 seasons behind the wheel, so to speak.
I was going to say it's a pretty recent addition in a lot of ways. But if you look at you as a whole, I mean, what strived you from being like, this trying to improve your skills, not just with wicket keeping batting, but you just shot to fame. I mean, everyone loved you. Everyone, you had that nickname Toolbox, and we can't forget. And hello to Hugh and Bettino out there, because one of the things I remember about Hugh and Bettino was that he rocked up with a white helmet when he was at the club. He came the previous season. He was finishing off, but that final series was incredible. As I said, I mean, that what you had with the bowling, and you pretty much transformed into a player, and was a real key pillar. And 6 for 62 and 6 for 47 in the semi-final and grand final, and you broke that dreaded A grade drought for Ocean Grove. So do you look back on those days now and think, I'm really fond of that, and I'm really proud of what's happened?
It's still, I've got goosebumps now, like thinking about it, and like I think about it, not all the time, but like every now and then it'll pop into my head, and it'll be like one of those holy shit moments. It's like, wow, like that happened, and I was fortunate enough to be a part of it. And the personal stuff's cool. Like that's the reason that I am where I am. But also like just the team, like it's all, I can't explain it. It's wicked. Like I'll have those 11 blokes that I played with for 5-year reunion, 10, 15, 20. We're all in walking frames in 40 years. Like that's the stuff that I'm looking forward to.
I'm sort of waiting for it to happen at Marshall, because I can sense that there's that sort of team camaraderie, and everyone's sort of got their unique personalities. But I think what you're trying to say is the hairs stand up on the back of your neck in that sense. That's a good way of sort of. And
I want to do it. I want to do it again. I want to do it for Marshall. I want to help Marshall bring home their next cup and whatnot, and to be able to do it with Corey and not even Corey now, like that group of mates. I've been there 12 months, and we're as tight as. So it'd be special to do it there. It's special to do it at Grove. Like I've been there since I was in nappies, and I think that's why it puts the hairs on the back of your neck. Right?
Yeah, and obviously, one player or one person involved with that club, and who knows, in the coming months we might have a podcast with the captain and coach of that club, and Paul Jubber, but also you got a lot of good friends there. Hello to Jackson and obviously Paul Jubber, Jackson Kent, that is, and there's a lot of close people at your family. But I also want to talk about some of the things that you've had a challenge during COVID, particularly from a work point of view with landscaping. You can't work at the moment. And I don't know what you're doing on a daily basis. I mean, getting your medicals checked out and making sure that you can bend your arm to a certain degree level. Just talk us through that, and how much of an impact it's had on your work life.
For me, like my work and being able to get out of the house and stuff like that socializes me. Like it's just, that's who I am. I love getting out of the house. Hate being stuck in a room, 4 walls with the TV on. Like this TV hadn't been turned on in God knows how long, and now it's never off because I can't get in the car and drive anywhere and stuff like that. My boss has been unreal. Like he's really understanding, and it's not just about work now. It's about work if I do run my own business. I don't imagine if I had to get this done in 10 years' time when I'm working for myself. Like probably not going to get it done, and then by 45 I can't move my arm and whatnot. Can't chuck the kids up in the air and all that stuff. So that was the big thing about it that I spoke to the boss about, and he was like, mate, go for your life. So he's been unreal for me, been different. Like work with a group of blokes and you see him every day for 4 years, and then all of a sudden you're not seeing him and stuff like that. A little bit like I was like, oh, this is going to be all right. Like 4, 5, 6 weeks off work, and then by day 2 I got home from the hospital and I was like, oh, get me back to work. Like I'd rather be at work than cutting laps of the house from the pantry to the bedroom, from looking in the fridge every 10 minutes, seeing if new things have popped up through the shelves and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been different. It's been difficult. The sleep-ins have been all right, but also too,
where's the arm? And just so the viewers know out there and the listeners know out there that this isn't your bowling arm, it's the left arm.
No.
So I suppose that's a good thing. But at the same
Yeah.
time too, where do you have to get the arm back to? Like, how many degrees is it at the moment?
So it's locked at, say 90.
Mm.
So in the sling from shoulder down, L-shaped at 90. That's for a month. So that's start physio and rehab stuff on next Thursday. We've got to get it from there. At the moment I'm doing little elbow exercises, so my elbow doesn't lock and seize and stuff like that. Hopefully by the 8-week mark. So eight weeks post-op, hopefully I can kind of get it up to here. So from 0 to another 90 degrees. And then 3 weeks after that, hopefully I can get it up above my head. And then I can start doing some resistance work, getting it from kind of there to there, pushing out till I can get it all the way back and stuff and across. So yeah, it's a long process. It'll probably be about 3.5 months by the time it's done.
Do you feel that you'll have a new arm once you come off? Will it feel like that?
Oh yeah, I had this one done, my right arm done when I was 18, and it hasn't missed a beat. Like, it's ridiculous. So yeah, this one would slip out during footy and stuff like that. Very similar to this. Like, I'd put my hand up above my head and it'd slip and stuff like that. Throw a ball, and because it was my throwing arm, I had to throw underarm, well, not underarm, but sidearmed and stuff like that. So it wouldn't slip out mid-game. But sometimes pressure cooker situations, you'd pick it up, bang, and it'd be like, come out. But yeah, so I know the results. If it's anything like this, it'll be tip-top. I won't have to worry about it again. So, which is good, which is promising.
I think, as I said, part of the program is talking about people, what they've been doing COVID. But with your job, particularly with the landscaping side, is that even last year when COVID hit, because you could sort of stay socially distant in a lot of ways, and you were outside, Geelong, or outside of metropolitan region, didn't have that 5-kilometre radius. So I suppose in some ways, other industries in work would have felt probably the impacts a little bit more. But even though you might have had some restrictions with your work, you were able to still work during the start of COVID and throughout last year.
Yeah. So we had a couple of jobs up in Melbourne and stuff that we kind of had to get out of there as quick as we could. And then we had a job in Gisborne, which it wasn't classed as metropolitan, so it's Macedon Ranges. So we were traveling up there during the start of COVID and stuff like that, and that was a massive 20-30 acre property. So yeah, the social distancing thing at work we didn't really have to worry about it. There was so much room out there, it wasn't funny.
You didn't have to wear masks?
We didn't.
You didn't have to wear masks or sanitize?
We probably were supposed to, but I don't think we did. I think there was a patch where when it got when it was quite scary, I think the start of the first big lockdown, everyone kind of thought, oh yeah, here we go. So it was masks on for a bit. But yeah, we weren't effective massively. Obviously income and stuff like that, had the job keeper and stuff like that. So that was unreal. And I know that's probably saved the boss's backside a bit, that. But yeah, I'm not financially for him. I don't think it impacted too much, without knowing, obviously. But yeah, we still had pretty steady work. We weren't always looking for jobs, so to speak, but we did a lot at his house as well, because he thought, oh, well, the government's paying you. I don't have to pay you full wage. Let's go to my house, boys. So we did a decent rent there. So he was smart about it. But
so there was enough to keep you busy, wasn't there? Really?
There was enough to keep you busy. There was no real days off unless someone in the house had a COVID test. So
and tell us the Manaram Fire Brigade. That's pretty close to your heart, obviously. The work that you do with that fire brigade, particularly, in the last sort of 10 years, we have had fires, and it shows that having a community response like a fire brigade is really important, and how they link up. And I've been involved in surf lifesaving, and just how those community clubs, in a lot of ways, network together, which is fantastic. But also the connection with the Good Friday appeal. I mean, I noticed that you try and get out there. And, tin rattling was a bit different this year, but I suppose
Yeah.
there was a little bit more opportunity to do it as opposed to last year, which was COVID.
Yeah, fire brigade's massive for our family. Like Dad's been involved with the CFA or Mannerham CFA for 50 years, probably even more, 55. So yeah, it's always been, and aunties and uncles and stuff like that have all been involved, cousins and whatnot. So it's massive in our family. Not only the Manor and Fire Brigade, but other brigades around Geelong region. So yeah, and then like the Good Friday appeal has always been one of those ones. Like since I was in the Pram, we'd be around tin rattling in Point Lonnie and stuff like that, and the tallies would go up year after year after year after year, and it was a little competition between us and Ocean Grove to see who could pull the most and stuff like that. We'd go back to the mechs and count it all up and whatnot, make a real night of it. There's Alistair Drayton, obviously, he's involved with Wellington CFA, used to own the mechs. So it was, growing up, it was a big thing. You didn't quite realise, I can understand it back then. But as you get older and stuff like that, and you see like on TV and you hear the stories of the young kids and stuff like that, especially now, like it makes it's a bit emotional, kind of. It's a massive day. But yeah, the last couple of years have been a bit different. We weren't able to walk around the streets and stuff like that, and rattle the tins, and help the old ladies shove their little 50s into the slots and stuff like that. It was always a good one when you got a pineapple in the tin. But yeah, it was a bit different the last couple of years. We've done it virtually, a virtual tin shake. So yeah, which was unreal for the I can't remember who the company that kind of started that up. But yeah, all the proceeds still go to the Royal Children's Hospital, and even when you press the tin, it gives it a little bit of a rattle for you. So that was kind of cool. Yeah. But yeah, you don't get quite as much, like as many donations that way as you do walking around and making yourself known. But we still did a fantastic job both years. So well over a couple of grand each year. So yeah, we're up there. But the Fire Brigade and in particular the Good Friday appeal is probably it's a big one. So yeah,
it's pretty close to your heart. I've got to finish up, but we've got to have some clean banter, and probably two of the things that stand out is not only your haircuts, that's one thing. That's not even the main thing. But I was
looks all right at the moment.
I got invited to a special golf event up in Melbourne, and I was on my way. It was I believe it was to Royal Melbourne, and it was for the President's Cup. And then I get this message along the way. It says, "You're driving like a grandma. Who's this bloke?" And I'm thinking of a vegetable, and it's orange. Do you know what it is?
Oh, nah.
It's the guy that puts on the dinners at the Marshall Cricket Club. That was one of the greatest things about joining the cricket club 10 years ago. Having those dinners delivered, and he's quite a character. But are you telling me Tom Beasley or Thomas Beasley that I drive like a grandmother? And I have got a different car now, by the way. So the i30 has been sold.
Yeah, nice. A little sky blue i30.
Oh, you know it, moonlight blue. It's upgraded to the Hyundai Kona now, mate.
Yeah, nice, mate. I hope it's a little bit more of a masculine colour for you, mate, because you need it.
Yeah, it's a white colour.
Yeah, there we go. That's all right. That works. That's fine. I'll pass that.
Yeah, and you love those hot dinners. I see it. I'll order this. I'll have this. Thanks, pumpkin or whatever.
Yeah,
so
no,
they get a good run, and
pumpkin's unreal.
Yeah, and
no dishes this year too, so it was all in little takeout boxes. So didn't have to get your hands dirty.
Oh, you didn't have to wash the dishes.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
You didn't have to wash the dishes.
So all cardboard, all recyclable. So we weren't doing the old earth any harm. So no, it was good. this
Well,
year. So hopefully next year he keeps little takeaway subs so I don't have to get back in the kitchen.
He might have added a little bit of GST to the price of that because he had to get the boxes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
But they're
that's
good.
pumpkin.
They're good value. So if anyone's out there,
Yeah.
the roast in Latrobe Terrace in Geelong, head on
Yeah.
down. So there you go, pumpkin.
Yeah.
Don't say I didn't help you out.
There you go. Nice little plug there, pumpkin.
Yeah, there you go. And some of those weird haircuts that you've had during the journey.
Yeah. So I started rocking the mullet a couple of years ago. Grew that out, and then during the first bit of COVID, April, probably this time, I chucked a rinse through it and tried to have it go bleached, but it kind of went orange because I didn't put any out. I didn't know what purple shampoo was. I hardly knew what shampoo was in the first place. So that didn't work out, but that slowly grew out. But I didn't go to the hairdressers. I just kept getting the scissors and chopping it out and stuff like that.
Well, you know who I thought...
Yeah, the mullet kept growing. And
sorry, this is your natural colour now, but you know who I thought you were?
Yeah,
you were
this is it now.
When I saw you last year, you were like a cross between Eric Banner, as in Poiter, and also Ron Burgundy. Is that true that you're trying to create the two characters? Yeah,
probably. Yeah, intertwine the two there. So Poiter's a nice bloke, but Ron Burgundy with the mustache and whatnot, kind of. You'd send me a photo every now and then of him just to remind me where I came from. So
absolutely. I think that's one of the great things about you. You thrive on that personality aspect, and you know, you're a lovable sort of character within the club. And I'm sure you've met a lot of good characters at Marshall, and it's been a great delight to have you on the Stonehenge View to just talk about how you're going with the shoulder and all that. And obviously, I think the plan would be for you to get back, you know, when the new season starts, but also get back on light duties at work soon.
Yeah, get back behind the wheel. That's step one, mate. So that's not too far away.
Well, Tom Beasley, thank you so much for being our guest on the Stonehenge View. You are the youngest cricket guest. In fact, one of the youngest guests that has appeared on this program. So you are in a privileged boat, but thanks for joining us on the Stonehenge View, episode 56.
No worries, mate. Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Well, that was Tom Toolbox, or Thomas Beasley as is known. So Tom Beasley has joined us on the Stonehenge View. You can check out the Stonehenge View. You can type us into Facebook or Instagram. Our podcast is also available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and our launching platform is Podbean. And we've also got a YouTube channel. I don't know if Tom Beasley's turned up on the YouTube channel, but I know that Marshall Cricket Club's got a YouTube channel, so even better. So we might even share it on there. We've got a Twitter account at Stonehenge View. And also check out, if you want to get in touch about a business podcast and talk about what you've been doing this year in 10 minutes, about your business, and want to get on board and talk about some of your hopes for 2021 and what's happened during COVID, let us know. But until next time, this has been the Stonehenge View for episode 56. We're going to talk to a football club trainer next week about what they've had challenges through during COVID. So we'll see you soon. As I said, thank you to Tom Beasley for joining us for episode 56. And this has been the Stonehenge View. We'll see you soon. Thank you.